And I just want to say one of the reasons why Yolanda and I wanted to get together and bring this event for the community, for wherever you're coming from, is that we realize right now people are going through some unusual changes, things that were unexpected. Some people, you know, things have been turned upside down, but we want to promote that there are some solutions, there are resolutions, and you can reach out. We want to make sure that we give you some things and give you some solutions on the wellness side so that you can actually look at some options. You don't have to, there's other options other than the negative. So we're just glad to be able to do this for you and hopefully share it with other people as well. But I'm fortunate to know, and I've known Cher Graham is our first speaker tonight, and I've known her for many years. We've kind of been around a while now. Let me make sure I unmute her so when I do, she does come on, she's not sitting waiting. But anyway, the Cher is a scientist by trade, but she is the VP Neurobehavior Synergy Solution and Collaborations in Mobile, Alabama. Graduated with a BS degree at Kent State University. She is the chair for Gulf Coast Mental Health Coalition. And her topic today is Your Mental Health is Up to You. So thank you, Cher. I'm trying to make sure that we have her unmuted. And so you can take over now.
All right, thanks everybody. I use it wherever I go. It is important to realize, and thank you, Kern and Yolanda, for putting this together because it's definitely needed. Now, so no matter where we are in the community, your mental health is up to you. Yes, but I'm going to be happy when my kids go to college or they leave home. If I can get a better job because I hate my boss, I might be happy. I'll wait until my parents pass on and I don't have to take care of them, and I might be happy. I'll be happy when I stop worrying about you fill in the blank. Do those thoughts ever cross your mind? If you shook your head up and down like this and you said yes, stop. Stay where you are. Take note of what you just agreed to tell the universe and God you've agreed to do. You've agreed to worry. You've agreed to not take care of the universe today and this moment. Worry only changes you. It doesn't change anyone else. You are going to wait until when, whatever date may come and go, you've just missed it. You made your choice. Continue on your journey to stay unhappy and fearful. Frown, more wrinkles, a sad heart, pity party, bitter words, angry, lack of like for yourself and others. Continue down the rabbit hole and waiting for time to stop for you to find happiness. And wait. And wait. Choice made, moments missed. If you answered no, congratulations, yay! You're on the road to doing it now and taking advantage of every opportunity of this moment. Smile. You are listening to yourself and hearing what words you are saying to yourself and others. Yes, it's okay to talk to yourself. As a behavioral scientist, I watch people all day long. I watch who talks to themselves, who answers, and it's okay because I talk to myself and I answer. Here's a tip. One of the best reasons to wear a mask in public and when you're out everywhere, yes, it's also to help keep COVID away from yourself and others, but you can talk to yourself and answer back and no one knows what you're saying. And they don't even know you're talking to yourself. just a short tip. You are your best friend, so why wouldn't you ask your best friend to help you find the answer to something? Continue on your journey that will include others who will listen to what you say. Choice made, responsibility taken. There are 3 points I want to leave with you today about your choices, your mental health choices up to you. We're talking about health and wellness. In my line of work, every day someone has a chaos, someone has a crisis. It could be your child can't find her shoes, your son can't find his helmet, your partner or spouse, or even you lose your car keys. I do that. And what happens? The calm just disappears. So, the first thing you need to do is remember, your mental health mindset every day is your choice. Make responsible choices and decisions. Every action creates a reaction. Making choices and decisions out of anger and revenge and frustration only result in chaos, destruction, and possible death. Worrying sends negative messages to the universe. My mother used to tell me, I trust you, but I worry about everyone else. Do you realize that in the world of energy and quantum forces, that your worrying might impact the karma of someone else later on in the future? Have faith over your fear. Trust your intuition. Each of us have it. Use your intuition. Consider the impact your choice has on everyone that you inspire and influence. Number 2, the mind knows what you constantly feed it. Write down the words you hear yourself saying, both positively and negatively. Track with a tick each time you hear yourself saying a positive or negative word. At the end of the day, go back and look at your list. Which words did you use most of the time? Do you need to change? There's a simple way you can change your entire mindset by where you are right now. If you are sitting down, stand up. Turn around completely 360 degrees to the left, then turn back around 360 degrees to the right and sit down. That disrupts the Earth's environmental energies around you, and now you have better energy within yourself and around you to make better decisions. Your mind has already gone where your body wants it to go. Your mind already was there before your body even said, I want to eat, I want this, I want that. Your body does not tell your mind how it feels. Your mind influences the body to make the choice about what it wants. Mind and body and your spirit all work together. It doesn't take a scientist to tell us that. But the good news is that more evidence-based practices are being found around mind, body, and spirit recognition. It took the medical community how many decades behind all of us who already know that mind, body, and spirit work together. Feed your mind with positive reading, positive conversations, positive nonverbal expressions. When you say, yes, I believe you, yes, I believe you, which does the person watching you really understand? Your head should validate what your words say. If you say yes, this is yes. But all of a sudden you're saying yes and shaking your head no. Confusion reigns in. Go hug a tree. Oh, that's so cool. Now make sure there's no poison ivy on the tree or poison oak, but feed your mind. Whether you are an introvert or extrovert, the choices are yours. Number 3, shift your mind from mind chaos to heart calm. When you shift your mindset, you shift your life. When you shift your heart to calm, you shift your life journey that shifts your behaviors within yourself and others. Claim today is your new beginning. Right now, you are enough. How do I choose that? Sherry, that's a lot. I'm going through COVID. I don't have any income. My kids, I'm here with them all day. I've never been with my kids all day long. What do I do? There are 6 things that you can do that will help. And guess what? They're all free. They don't cost you anything. The first one is breathe. It is the first step. Slowly breathe in. Exhale out. Do it lots of time during the day. It's okay. You know it's okay to breathe. Sometimes you have to tell yourself that. If you feel yourself with a shortness of breath, choose to learn a new breathing technique. You say, I've been breathing all my life, but has your breathing created a calm in your life that you haven't had before? Envision a new beginning. What colors do you want your new mental mind shift to tell you? What colors do you want your behaviors to show you others that you have chosen to choose to take a different mindset? Believe. Trust your knowledge. You have the capability and the knowledge to know what to do. Trust your intuition. If you think you don't know, ask and learn. Technology gives us so much opportunity to learn, to be in a new culture, to take a 360-degree trip down the Amazon, to go visit a foreign country, to be in the middle of cooking with a chef. Just learn something new. There is so much to learn to keep your mind active. When you choose not to learn, your brain slows down. You become tired, and so what happens? Your brain talks to your body. Your body says, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to do anything else today. Fire that brain back up. Learning is fun. Write down one thing that you can learn. What do you need to know? Maybe you need to know how to do something for tomorrow. Life is amazing at any age. Seize the day. Sometimes life gets in our way. COVID came. Next week is hurricane week. After that, we've had tornadoes. We've had children who have passed away. We've had family members. We've had pets who are on the other side and on the Rainbow Bridge, all during the last 8 weeks. But if you think about it, this is not really anything new. It's just added to all of the challenges and opportunities we have in life. It has changed a lot of people. But one of the things that I chose not to allow it to do was change me. As a mental health advocate and someone who is out in the field every day, I stayed safe at home, but I stayed safe out in the field. I chose to be calm because everyone else around me was spiraling out of control. And so I seized the day to show everyone how to be calm in the middle of chaos. Chaos is going to be here, whether it's losing your keys, dealing with your children all day, maybe you're going through a divorce, you're a single parent, or work is just crazy now. Whatever your chaoses are, they do add up. Remember that you can choose to be calm in the middle of them. Go rogue. Do something different each day. Take care of you first. The time is now. It is important to take care of you so you can give your entire self to those that you serve, not what's left over. Here's a simple tip. Take 3 minutes each day. 1 minute for why, 1 minute for O, and 1 minute for you. For 1 week, find 3 minutes each day for you. That's all you need to take. Do something new. Go test drive a new car. Go try on a new outfit. Do something. Learn to cook learn to cook. Some people can't cook. Instead of learning to cook a new cuisine, just learn how to cook. Write down reading as a priority. Doesn't matter what you read, but make it positive. Go read with your kids. Read something you need to learn for school or something you just want to learn. Or just go read a fictional novel. Plant a tree, buy yourself flowers, buy somebody else flowers, learn a new sport, learn how to keep your house clean. Some of us do that. Instead of you cleaning, save your money to go hire someone, help support a local business, and let them clean your house. Take that time. See, there's your 3 minutes for you. Share what you've learned with others. Many people are not making a choice to be mentally healthy. Influence them by what you're doing to be mentally healthy. You matter. Matter to yourself first. It's not selfish, it is self. Here's my challenge to each person listening. Write down 7 I am affirmations that reflect you and what you envision your life to be, things that you want to do, create, achieve, and accomplish. I am confident. I am a good mother. I am a writer. I am me. I am calm in the middle of chaos. For the next 7 days, repeat your 7 affirmations 7 times a day. Sit quietly and affirm them quietly. Walk and affirm them loudly. Listen as you recite them. Your mental wellness is up to you. Remember, you are awesome. So tonight, let's start to shift our mindset right now as we listen to words of wisdom, words of inspiration, have some fun, laugh, smile, say hello to people in the chat box, and remember that we are united, we thrive, and survive. Happiness is a choice. Choose it every day, starting right now. And back to Kern.
Okay, thank you, Cher, for sharing. Yes, take control of your own mental health. Yes, we definitely want to do that, and we want to encourage everybody as you're listening tonight, and some of the people will be dropping resources of information. I know, Cher, you're over the Gulf Coast Coalition, Mental Health Coalition, so you may want to leave a contact for that as well, because I think as people come upon things, sometimes their first mindset is not to take control, and sometimes, especially during this time of uncertainty, definitely a lot of people are dealing with some things that they aren't used to dealing with. So I want to thank you for taking the time to share that with us. We certainly appreciate it. I know you have a strong background in studying people behaviors and things like that, and so and let's face it, it's human behavior to withdraw when things are going extremely bad or things that are turned upside down in their life. You know, people tend to withdraw in. So so anyway, thank you. I appreciate you, and hopefully you'll stay on. And I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Yolanda, who has our first panel discussion that's coming up right now.
All right, thank you, Kern, and thank you again, Cher, for sharing your information and your knowledge with us and giving us those nuggets. So I am going to introduce our panelists. Now I'm going to put this disclaimer out there because sometimes I get people's names pronounced incorrectly, so charge it to my head and not my heart. But I'm going to introduce our first set of panelists for tonight. And they are, we have Mavis A. Cray. She is a proud mother and advocate, survivor, inspirational leader, motivational speaker, mentor, entrepreneur, and author. She currently serves as the executive director of R3SM Incorporated, Recover, Rebuild, Restore Southeast Mississippi in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. R3SM Incorporated covers South Mississippi and assists with long-term recovery following disasters as well as other community needs. Recently, she started a ministry to help women and families called We Women Ministries. Our next panelist is Tanise McInnes. She is a licensed clinical social worker with over 23 years experience working in various school-based community, state, and federal agencies, employing services to adults, veterans, children, and older adults. Tanise possesses specialized training in working independently to assess the psychosocial functioning of adults and children with emotional, behavioral, social, and interpersonal disparities. She is the CEO of Empowering Minds and Counseling and Consulting Services, LLC, formulated in 2006, established in 2016. Tanise is a wife and a mother who is passionate about the special needs population and implementing holistic community-based services. And lastly, we have Paula Hutchison. She is a business owner, beautician, and podcast host as well. Currently, she resides in Arizona. All right, so welcome, panelists. I want to say thank you so much for joining us this evening. So I have a question that I want to ask you ladies, and when I present this question, you all have about 5 minutes apiece to kind of give us your answer and share with everyone online tonight your experiences. So my question for you is, what type of mental health issues have you experienced? You know, how did you grow through it, and how has it impacted you in your everyday life moving forward? And we'll start with Mavis.
Is the background noise? I can hear you now. I think it was some echo. One thing as far as mental health challenges, I've dealt personally with depression throughout the years in different phases. Also, I have been, when I was in different situations, different phases of my life, I have been suicidal. That's something that I did go through and was able to navigate through, and thankfully was able to move through it and go through it. Sometimes people on the outside, they look like they're all put together, but on the inside, they're really falling apart. So, you know, it has helped me with, you know, with what I'm working with now. I am working with NAMI, which is a National Alliance of Mental Illness, which is a volunteer grassroots organization that assists with families, with children, with people in need that are going through mental health challenges. I like to call it challenges and not illness, because you know, it's a stigma when you say somebody is sick. When you say it's kind of like they're broken and they can't be fixed. And you know, so when you're dealing with people who are going through mental health challenges, how you approach them, how you deal with them, really makes a huge difference. So I'm thankful to be a part of that process. But really, you know, it was you know, solid friendships, people in the community, people who saw that there was something that was off with me, that got me resources, that got me assistance, that was supportive of me when I was going through those journeys, that really helped me along the way. With NAMI, we have a lot of programs as far as resources that I'm very proud that we do. We have some peer counseling and trainings, and also support systems for families that are in need, because I have seen more children who have been affected by mental health issues, especially with COVID, with being out of school, with not being around their friends, with being socially isolated. So that really is really important, having a support system, people who don't judge you when you are going through those mental health challenges. Because one thing, if you're already struggling with life and situations, you know, the worst thing you can have is somebody to say, well, why are you acting crazy? Why can't you get out the bed? Why can't you just get it together? That's one of the worst things you can tell somebody. You know, it's already a struggle. Just, you know, sometimes I would have to tell myself, breathe. And so when the last lady was saying, you know, tell yourself to breathe, I was like, you know, it was like a eureka moment, because I can remember one time I was just sitting and I counted and I said, Mavis, it's been like 10 seconds and you haven't breathed yet. Because I was in my mind so hard and so heavy that I said, you know, it's normal things that some people wouldn't, you know, key into or plug into. But if you really just look at it, and if you are close to certain people and you think they're going through mental health challenges, don't let them feel like they're alone. Don't make them feel like, you know, it's a choice. You know, some people with different diagnoses, those are chemical imbalances that they're going through. And it's just like if you were sick and you had a heart condition, or, you know, something that was genetic, you know, in your family, you wouldn't dare tell somebody that you just need to get over that. You know, why are you going to the doctor? But when it's a mental health issue, a lot of times people say, well, why can't you just get it together? And so, you know, with me, I just had a really good support system. I prayed a lot, which is, you know, if you are faith-based, that really did help me as well. But it really, you know, I took it one day at a time. Sometimes we want people to do everything right now, how we feel it needs to be done, and that's not helpful for them in their process. One of the main things I've learned is just meet people where they are. So if they're not having a good day, if they can't get it together, and if the only thing they can do is get out of bed, then meet them where they are, you know, and check on them and be a support system, and let them know that they're not alone and there are resources out there. So that's how I was able to move forward. And I try to give back as much as possible, and, you know, try to be there for people who are going through mental health challenges. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Mavis. I appreciate that. You know, as a survivor, I can definitely, you know, empathize with you when it comes to having to deal with certain things when people tell you to just get over it or anything like that. So, but it's good that you did have a good support system. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. So I'm going to go over to Miss Tanise now. Miss Tanise McInnes.
Can you see me?
We can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay.
There you go. Hi.
Hello. So this question is very near and dear to my heart, because we're living in unprecedented times due to COVID and its global outbreak, which has definitely brought about an increase of stress and anxiety for caregivers. And me being a caregiver myself, when we talk about caregiving, we you know, I'm talking about compassion fatigue and burnout. So compassion fatigue is the act of absorbing the emotional stress and caregiving for someone else. A caregiver can be not only a person working in a helping profession, but also a parent with a special needs child, such as in my case, or a individual taking care of their parents, their mother and father that may have dementia, or grandparents caring for their grandchildren. You know, statistically, the CDC says that 1 in 54 children are diagnosed with autism. So that's a lot of children who've had to have their schedules and turned upside down. According to the census and AARP, 2.4 million grandparents are caring for grandchildren. So when we look at that, we can imagine that those households have definitely been impacted during this time of social distancing and social isolation. Myself, who is caring for a special needs child, was also impacted. And so some of the things that I've had to implement myself is talking about it, definitely, you know, about those feelings, and journaling, meditating, and sometimes just taking a time out. Sometimes you need a time out away from Facebook and social media and the news, because that in itself can bring about secondary traumatic stressors, watching things on the news that bring about stressful feelings. You have to implement self-care, and you have to reestablish connections. And in this time of using the internet, platforms such as this Zoom and Messenger, you know, having to reach out to your friends and maybe have girl talk that way. Also, the Mental Health of America has a good family caregiver toolbox full of resources, and that's mhanational.org. during this time, you definitely have to use your pain to push you closer to your purpose, and take small steps, as the other speaker talked about, breathing, meditating, walking, and just finding what your purpose is to get you through.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for sharing, Tanique. I hope I said your name right.
You did. You did.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. And don't forget to drop your information in the chat box for everyone for us.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So I'm going to shift over to Miss Paula. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
My apologies. I know we have kind of echo. Okay. So for me, during this time, my professional I have to exhibit a lot of active listening traits during this time. It's really, really important that you take the time to actively listen to what someone's concerns are. And then also, as a person who is in the field of active listening, I had to learn to not internalize everybody else's issues and not be aware of my own and how I'm dealing with and processing certain things just daily. And in sharing earlier this week, I've been on a couple of things related to mental health, as I have a daughter that has mental health issues, and myself, I am in constant therapy. I've been in therapy now for almost 2 years. So for me, therapy is a big deal. I did not break that habit during this time, which I also think is really important for those that have it. But for those who deal with mental health, what I will say is that mental health is often hidden by strength. Many people are pretending to be really, really strong during this time. Oh, it's not a big deal. We're just processing and going through these automated motions daily. And I really do not feel like that is beneficial. And I was one of those people, because you just always talk to be the strong one, especially if you're the strong one in the family. You organize everyone. I made sure my daughter was placed properly. My daughter is actually in a care facility, so of course my daughter can't leave and we can't go see her. So you have to make sure that those things are straight, and I have to make sure my son in college was straight, and I have to make sure I'm straight and my business is straight. You have all this stuff going on, and people forget that, you know, that you're human. You forget that you're human. And so often we mask that by this strength. We just overdo and overachieve. And I had to learn how to pull up off of that, to learn to allow myself to be vulnerable. I've been doing the work on myself during this time too. I think someone mentioned about journaling, really journaling how I feel from day to day. Also keeping with positive connections. I host an organization called Stiletto Talks, and that's basically what we do. It's for women to actually talk about, you know, I don't feel like taking out the trash. I'm tired of picking up socks. I'm tired of doing my 8th, batch of laundry. I'm over it. And then being able to provide that safe space for them to share that, and then make sure that we are able to actually just cope and recover, and provide that support and that active listening. And then also learning to recognize that some people are extroverts, and extroverts like myself are, we're okay. I think most of us are kind of okay because we tend to find things to do, but also recognizing that our introvert brothers and sisters are struggling sometimes with this, because most of the time they deal with things on their own boundaries and their own time. And for me, I cannot stress enough to anyone to be honest with yourself and do the work. It's very difficult for people to help you if you don't say something. I'm very open and honest about mental health, because people think that, oh, you don't look like, the number one thing I get is that, oh, you don't look like anything's wrong with you. You look fine. And I think sometimes you're like, I look fine, but I probably had an anxiety attack in the car probably about 20 minutes before arriving, before getting out and looking at you. So I've learned how to deal with that adaptive side, but now I'm really focused on also being honest about my natural side and being aware of whether or not I'm in a good place, and then encouraging others. providing them the space to talk about it as well, and making them comfortable just as others have made me comfortable, but then being also consistent with recognizing, I think someone talked about some people need to have their medications. While I don't take medications, I am very serious about having my therapy appointments. And so I've been able to do that with telehealth, and it's been really awesome that I'm able to still utilize that, because that's just really important to me. I will not stop therapy. But just don't silence yourself. Anyone that's going through anything, I don't care how strong you look, just know it's okay, you're human. Allow yourself, the word that I'm using right now during this time is grace. Allow yourself grace. Having that grace for others and having that grace for yourself will keep you during this time. And it's really important that you do that, whether you are the caregiver, whether you are the person that's experiencing it, or if you know someone else that is doing the same.
Thank you so much, Paula, for sharing that. I want to just say thank you and the other ladies for just being very transparent, because sometimes people don't want to be transparent in front of strangers, you know, because they feel like they're putting themselves in a vulnerable position. But also, Paula, thank you for even sharing that, you know, it's okay to see therapists. If I'm dealing with something, it's okay. You're not crazy, because that's a stigma that's out there. People think people are crazy because they're seeing a therapist. No, I think we all need therapists. We need somebody to talk to, whether we're in business, you know, whether we're dealing with people in the corporate world, we need somebody to talk to. And sometimes we just can't talk to family, right? So I definitely agree. Ma'am. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Mavis. And thank you, Denise, so much for joining us on the panel tonight. And so now let's see what's next on our schedule. Oh, I have the opportunity to introduce one of my friends. Her name is Jocelyn Gavin Lane. And so with that being said, I'll give you her information just to let you know who she is. Hold on just a second. Oh, my computer just did something wrong. Hold on. All right, so Miss Jocelyn Gavin Lane, also known as just Jocelyn, is a licensed certified social worker, a speaker and consultant that believes in the empowerment of African-American women and girls and mental health wellness. She is the owner of Premier Professional Counseling Services, LLC, and also the founder of the Pink Lotus Project, Incorporated, a national nonprofit organization focused on empowering women and girls through service and education. So I will turn over to Ms. Jocelyn, and the floor is yours.
Hear me? Can I get a shake your head yes or a thumbs up if you can hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, all right, great. So I was originally going to talk to you all about COVID-19 and stressors around COVID-19, but in the light of some of the things that have happened in our country in the last 48 hours, I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about vicarious trauma or secondary trauma. And I thought that was important for me to talk about because it's happening right now in real time. And we are watching, some of us, and replaying this video of this gentleman passing away. And we are all over the place. There are a lot of things happening on social media. There are a lot of things happening on the news. There are a lot of things happening in our cities and in our communities right now. And so I kind of wanted to talk to people a little bit about how that secondary trauma that we're all experiencing, whether you have, you know, been involved in the conversation or whether you've listened, or, you know, it doesn't really matter if you have an opinion or not, but we're all impacted by this secondary trauma because 90% of us have watched the video, we've watched the news, we've seen this. And not only with this situation, but with other situations and other traumatic things that happen in our communities, in our state, and in our nation. When traumatic things happen, such as COVID-19, we can all have some secondary trauma from those things. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what that secondary trauma does to us and give people a couple of tips about the secondary trauma. So secondary trauma, and I'm going to use my notes, is an emotional distress that results when an individual hears firsthand about a traumatic experience. So let's think about that part. We have all heard firsthand about a traumatic experience, whether that be Hurricane Katrina, whether that be what's happening right now in our country with Mr. Floyd and his untimely death. We've all heard of something that has happened that is traumatic, that has affected us in some way, that's caused us some type of emotional distress. And I will tell you, I'm not native to the Gulf Coast. So my very first, I moved here, I think 2002. So Hurricane Katrina was my first time experiencing a hurricane. And I actually wrote it out at my house in Gulfport. I will never stay for another hurricane. Let me just put that out there right now. When they say it's coming this way, I'm not listening to husband that say, oh, let's go on to New Orleans. We're going to be fine. I ain't listening to nobody. I'm out of here. So for me, that was very traumatic. And at the time, I had a 3-year-old daughter who for several months after that would scream to the top of her lungs whenever there was a thunderstorm. And so just thinking about that and what she went through and that vicarious trauma, and also the traumatic events that people saw on the news, what was happening at the Superdome, what was happening here on the Gulf Coast, tornadoes that it hit other places in Mississippi, all of that impacted our emotional health. And so when you have that and you are hearing about firsthand trauma, and a lot of CPS workers do this kind of work all the time, and therapists do this type of work all the time. When you are all day long, if you are a therapist like I am, you may have 10 clients a day. Well, you're hearing trauma back to back to back to back to back. So then what do you do with that trauma after you've heard it for 8 to 10 hours? So it does weigh on you emotionally and mentally as a professional. So, and some people say, well, oh, why are you mourning someone that you didn't know? We saw that a lot around Kobe Bryant when he passed away. The nation was mourning, and people would ask, well, how can you be so sad about someone that you didn't know? Well, it's easy to do that when they have been celebrities and they've kind of grown up in our eyes, and we've followed their careers and we've known about them, and we've done something. So it's very easy for us to have and to acquire that secondary trauma. And when we talk about the secondary trauma, we have to immediately go into grief. And so when we talk about how people are grieving right now, people are grieving differently. Some people are having symptoms of anxiety, depression, isolation. It just depends on who that person is and how they're feeling at the moment. But there's several symptoms of secondary trauma, and those are some of them. We all process grief differently. I know for me, and I think Yolanda, we both share in the fact that our fathers have passed away, and we were both very close to our fathers. And so my father has been dead for 14 years. But on Father's Day, it's like clockwork. I'm going to cry on his birthday. I'm going to cry. No matter what, it is clockwork. So those feelings and that grief, sometimes it prolongs. But, learning to live with it and learning to celebrate in a different manner. And sometimes that takes people longer than it does other people. Learning how to celebrate the person that you love in a different manner when you're talking about grief. So what can you do if you're experiencing vicarious trauma or secondary trauma? What can you do? You can definitely participate in some type of self-care. Today, I had to tell my cousin to turn the TV off. There are only so many times that you can watch this gentleman pass away on TV, and every time you watch it, you are re-traumatizing yourself. You are internalizing these feelings every time that you watch this happen. And so just making her recognize that you don't have to keep watching it. It's okay not to watch that on the news. It's okay to turn the TV. It's okay to log off of social media if things are happening on social media that are getting you worked up, you know, that are causing your anxiety to rise and things of that nature. So it's okay for you to do those things. Also, connecting with others who validate your feelings. It's really important when things like this happen and we have some secondary trauma and grief attached to that we feel supported. It's really important that you can go somewhere with someone and feel supported so that you're able to speak to what's happening. Whether that is your therapist, whether that is your friend, your family, there's someone who should be there for some type of support for you during that time when you're having those negative thoughts. Again, disconnecting from social media, disconnecting from what's happening. If you need to take a day off work, take a day off work, take a day. If you need to have some time to yourself, have some time to yourself. Utilize, I know there are several people who utilize oils, the essential oils, to help them calm down, help them sleep at night. So if that's a good thing for you, utilize those type of things. You don't have to spend a lot of money. It doesn't mean you have to go out and get a massage or anything like that, but utilize some self-care tips in your home that you can do to help you when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling bottled up. And you know, right now, like I said, with things going on, people are feeling overwhelmed with emotion. They want to explode. They want to say something. They want to do something. They feel a sense of urgency. So when you're feeling that sense of urgency, it's really important that you have a support system, or that you can reach out to your mental health professional of your choice and speak to them about what you're feeling so that you don't keep those things bottled up. I think that is super important. And it's really important not to participate in any type of risky behavior now that when you're triggered by things that are happening in the media, or you're triggered by things that are happening on social media. And I will say, you know, when some things happen, I know some people, I was in like 1,000 group messages. Oh, I'm going to go drink a glass of wine. Or, you know, I'm going to go I got to take a shot of something because this is just overwhelming. Or I have to do this, or, you know, people, oh, my head is hurting, I got to go lay down, I can't talk about it anymore. So all these things that we're doing and we're not pouring back into ourselves so that we can restore. And that's what's really important. You have to be able to restore. It's okay to have all these feelings, but you have to be able to restore and pull yourself back up when you're having this. You can also have some decrease in hope, you know, just in your spirituality as well. You know, why is this happening? Questioning your higher power, things of that nature. You will do those things when you're suffering from secondary trauma, and that's okay. We can get you where you need to be, but you have to be able to follow those steps. And some of those is backing up from it. You have to back up from what's happening. Back up from it for a minute. Allow you some time to collect yourself, and then move forward however you need to move forward, whether that is talking to friends or your supportive person, or whether that is, you know, speaking to a therapist. And when you are so overwhelmed and stressed, as you can be when you are constantly watching these things take place on the news and in social media and everything, headaches, you start to manifest things physically. You start to feel sick. You feel tired. You feel overwhelmed. I know for me, when I watched this video, and I promised myself I wouldn't do that, but when I watched this video, I immediately wanted to go to bed. That's like one of my defense mechanisms. I'm gonna go take a nap, and then I'll wake up after I take my nap, and I'll process it then. And so for me, there was just information overload. So I had to start to just take a step back and not react when you see people saying things that are disheartening. Not react, because what does that do to your emotional health when you are trying to defend yourself on every social media platform there is? You know, that's exhausting. You're going from Twitter to Facebook to Snapchat to Instagram. You can't, it's not possible for you to be able to do that in a healthy manner. And so we have to understand and remain healthy and not let ourselves get exhausted. Paula, I was exhausted as well. So not letting ourselves get exhausted over some of these things that are happening, but they can happen if we allow them to penetrate us. So I wanted to just leave you with those tips. If you are, there is a lot that has happened in the last 48 hours. The news has been filled with a lot of disheartening things in the last 48 hours. And I want to encourage you to talk to someone who can help you work through whatever you're feeling at this particular moment. Even if it's for one session, 2 sessions, I think probably all the therapists in Mississippi right now are offering telehealth if you don't want to come out. Talk to somebody about what you're feeling, because you do need to be able to process those thoughts. You don't need to leave them bottled up inside, because they will. This is not a question. This is a statement. They will manifest in other areas of your life. They will manifest in the decisions that you make. They will do that. So whether that's positive or negative, I want to be clear on that too. It's not always a positive manifestation. It can also be something very negative. And so you don't want to be caught in that cycle. And so what you need to do is make sure that you are putting on your coat of armor. Ain't that right, Yolanda? We all got a coat of armor. Put on your coat of armor.
That's right.
So that you can be the very best version of you, no matter what's happening in the news, no matter what's happening on social media, because it can all be very disturbing and it can all wear on our emotional wellness. So for all you guys, I want to tell you, if it's bothering you, if it's hurting you to your core, turn the TV. My favorite channel to turn to when things are bothering me is HGTV. I can always find something to do on HGTV. I come up with a DIY project, can't do nothing, can't paint, can't do nothing. But I come up with something for somebody to do at my house, or it takes my mind to a different place. So find your favorite TV channel. And when that stuff starts to happen and build up in you, distract yourself with something else. Talk to somebody. Turn the TV off. I like what you're saying, Chauncey. The oils. I have gotten into essential oils since I've been in private practice. They work really, really well. I mean, I did not realize how well essential oils worked, and I wish I had started to use them years ago. But I'm using them now, and I always make sure that I have those oils going when I'm talking to my clients, you know, for calm. And so when I know what they're going through, and I already know they may have had a bad week, I'm already know I need to put a little lavender and frankincense in that oil and get it going so that they can relax and that they can have an opportunity to really get out what they want to say. Because sometimes you can be so overwhelmed with things that you can't really verbally express what you want to say. And I'm gonna leave you with this. I don't want to go over my time. But the very first time I went to therapy, I lost my father from cancer. And I will tell you, watching somebody die in that way is a horrible thing to witness. So I feel like, and I hope I'm in a good space to say this, that God had prepared me, because right before that, I had gotten a job as a hospice social worker. So when I got that job as a hospice social worker before my father was diagnosed with cancer, so when he was diagnosed, I knew everything, every question to ask. I knew about medications. I knew about making him comfortable. So I could speak the language to the doctors and the nurses. And I felt like that was divine intervention, that God knew what I was going to be going through. So he was able to give me the words to speak, because my mother didn't have them at the time. So my very first time going to therapy, I cried the entire first hour. Like, there was no type of treatment plan happening. I just cried the entire hour, and that was okay. And it was in a setting where I felt like it was okay for me to shed tears for 45 minutes because I had no words. So when your clients and people that you encounter that are going through mental health issues, they may not always have words to put on those feelings. So if you are struggling, make sure that you find somebody that you connect with really, really well so that they can help you when you don't have the words. That's really important because you won't always have them. Make sure that you connect. And I'll tell people all the time, finding a therapist is like finding your favorite car. Everybody don't fit everybody. Try it out. See, use that free 15-minute consultation that she may have on her website. Use that free 15-minute consultation to see if you're vibing with that person, because everybody doesn't work for everybody, and that's okay. And when you find somebody that you jive with, that you connect with, and you're able to have those conversations, you're able to get to the other side of what's happening. So I just want to tell you all, thank you, Yolanda. Thank you, Karen, for having me. I hope that my discussion, I know, Yolanda, we talked a little bit before we jumped on. I was like, I need to change what I'm going to talk about. I'm getting some messages privately. I promise I'm going to respond to all of them tonight. I'm going to share my social media handles with you and my email address. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I am an open book. I like to talk. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll answer any questions that you have. Thank you all again. I hope I was able to answer some questions for you and give you some insight on what I felt was on my heart today to discuss.
I just want to say thank you for coming on and bringing that message, because I think a lot of us are getting overwhelmed by just some of the things, though it's not directly in our family, watching somebody die dramatically on TV. Today, somebody been thrown from a balcony, as a mother, instinctively, I think that could be my child.
Absolutely.
It crosses all barriers, all color barriers.
Absolutely.
That could be my child. So it's, to me, I do think you're correct. We are suffering a second. It's like, even though it's not you still feel the trauma from it. And then you walk in fear instead of walking in faith. And so I'm thankful that that you brought it up. So thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you for sharing your time too.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Back to you, Yolanda.
All right. So before we get, thank you, Jocelyn. Well, I got you in my, my 911 over here every time I need you. So thank you so much for jumping on with us. I truly do appreciate you, not only as a therapist, but also as a friend. So with that being said, before we get into our first main speaker for tonight, I am going to share a song, give you a little bit of music so we kind of break up in between, just to kind of give you something to kind of vibe to, listen to the message, and then we'll move on forward to our first main speaker for tonight. So let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah. Hope. Four walls, locked doors, yeah, I'm trapped in. Underwater, can't breathe, suffocating. Can't think, yeah, my thoughts be wondering. Nowhere to go, guess I'll stand hiding. Yeah, yo, feeling so alone. The world is kinda scary, so I climb back in my zone. Feeling so lost, trying to find my way home. Always been an outsider, cast away the unknown. I don't know what to do, should I tell my friends? But then again, my friendships may end. So I keep it to myself, won't let you in. Lord, tell me how much longer before it ends. It's like I'm living life through a dark tunnel. I can see light, but I can only see it. Even though some days I feel like I reached it, only to be knocked back down the tunnel, feeling defeated. I start back up just to stop again. Failure becomes my reliable new friend. I need to be free to tell. I pray the stigma gone. I pray the fear would fail. I pray that God will free my mind from this jail cell. At least give me some people that I can tell, that I can trust. Won't write me off as wasted dust. I just wish my mind would hush.
I need a bridge to get from where I am to where I wanna be. I wanna live free from all this misery. Can you help me? Help me to be free. There is hope, you're not alone, on your own, by yourself. There is hope, we are here for you.
Hold on.
Too. There is hope, you're not alone, on your own, by yourself. There is hope, we are here for you. He is too.
Yeah, there's help and there's hope, and there's a way to see life clearer, no scope. And there are 3 things that you really need to know, so let me get to them right before I let you go. You're not a mistake, and your struggles don't define you. Wrote this song only to remind you you're valued, priceless. Yeah, you're to die for, with a plan and purpose. No, you're not worthless, I know this for certain. No, you're not a burden. We all need to feel pain when someone is hurting. You gotta know you're worth it. There's hope for certain.
There is hope, you're not alone.
You're not alone.
On your own, by yourself. There is hope.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry, y'all.
Here for you, and he is too. There is hope, you're not alone.
You're not alone.
On your own, by yourself.
Yeah.
There is hope, we are here for you. He is too. I need a bridge to get from where I am to where I wanna be. I wanna live.
I wanna live.
Free from all this misery. Can you help me?
I need your help.
Help me to be free. There is hope, you're not alone, on your own, by yourself. There is hope, we are here for you.
Hold on.
He is too. There is hope, you're not alone, on your own, by yourself. There is hope, we are here for you. He is too.
All right. I hope y'all enjoyed that song just as much as I did. When I
Wow.
first heard that song, it spoke to my soul. I don't
Oh.
know about y'all, but it spoke to mine.
That was powerful. Oh my goodness. What a message. Thank you for sharing that, Yolanda.
You're welcome. You know, I'm always pulling something out of me somewhere. If it's inspiring me, I'm going to pour it out in the hopes that it inspires somebody else.
Yes, what a
All right.
blessing.
So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to keep it moving and introduce our main speaker for tonight, our first one anyway. She is also a good friend of mine. She is amazing. I had the opportunity to speak alongside of her in London last year. And when I tell you that conference was amazing, it was absolutely amazing and powerful. So I'm thankful to even know her as a friend and also have been able to be in some partnerships with her and some other projects that we probably will be working on in the future too as well. So with that being said, without further ado, Dr. Valika Moore is a devoted wife and mother. She is an award-winning entrepreneur and the CEO and founder of Brilliant One Unlimited LLC. and Empowerment Through Expression LLC. Dr. Velika is a life and business coach, speaker therapist, prophetic minister, and the author of The Mental Detox for the Brilliant Women Leader, visionary author of the Breaking to Brilliance anthology series, in addition to other empowering book collaborations as well. Affectionately known as Dr. V, this transformation activator is passionate about assisting individuals through processes of breakthrough and healing, and empowers amazing women leaders to shift from being stuck, confused, and frustrated through strategies to transform their minds, businesses, and lives as they fully embrace and activate the next level of their God-given purpose and brilliance. So the floor is yours, Dr. Velika.
Make sure. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
awesome, awesome.
hear you now.
Well, it's just an honor, a pleasure to be here tonight. I am just so honored to be able to be on this platform. I have just been super excited all week to come and speak on one of my favorite things, which is mental health and wellness. And so I just want to know just how the ladies are doing. And I think if we got any gentlemen on the line tonight, I definitely don't want you all to be excluded. How is everyone doing? How has your week been? How many hats are you wearing right now during this time? Just with everything going on in the world. I know we're already wearing a lot of hats, right? We're moms, we're dads, we are, we're entrepreneurs, we are professionals, we might be students, we might be ministry leaders. We have so many hats. I have one of my friends that calls herself a glorified Uber driver, just transporting her kids to all of their activities. We wear so many hats. And right now, we've added on hats just because of what's going on. So some of us have become homeschool teachers. There's just so many different hats that we have began to wear, but the thing is, we didn't just get busy. This didn't just happen. We've been wearing hats. We've been wearing a lot. We take one off to put another one on. And then we take another one off to put another one on. And so how's everyone holding up with that? How's everyone doing? The first speaker, I've just really enjoyed all of the speakers tonight. And the first speaker, Cher, one thing she talked about was taking that deep breath. Taking that deep breath just to be able to release and to relax. So right now, I'm going to invite everyone just to take a moment to take a deep breath. Just go ahead and take a moment and just take a deep breath right now. Whatever your week may have looked like, whatever your day may have looked like, just the hustle and the bustle, or just trying to get things done, trying to be everything to everyone, trying to work from home and also be that homeschool teacher. Whatever it has been that has made your day hectic, I just want you to take a moment right now just to take a nice, deep, calming, releasing breath. And just think about, when was the last time you did that? I know a couple of the ladies have come on tonight and said that they actually use deep breathing as one of their coping tools. And I think that's awesome. But for some, we either underestimate it or we just forget to do it. And with my clients, that's one thing that I invite them to do. That's one thing I give them homework. So taking at least 3 deep breaths each day, just to get in the routine, just for it to be a reminder to use, so that when you need it, because our stress is going up and down all day long. And sometimes when we need something to help calm us down and we're in the moment, we don't think of it. So I give it as something just to do every day. Do it when you first wake up. Do it in the middle of the day. And then do it again before you go to bed at night. And then if you need 30 more breaths throughout the day, then that's perfectly fine too. Just take that time and take a deep breath. It's one of the easiest things that we can do that we just kind of take for granted. So I hope that while I've been talking, that everyone has just taken a moment to take some deep breaths. And any time during my presentation tonight, go ahead and feel free to take some more. All right, and so I'm a therapist. I work with women, I work with men, I work with people of all backgrounds, all walks of life. But most of my clients, about 90% of my clients are women. And when I work with them, when I first meet with them, one of the first questions that I ask them after they come in and they pour out their hearts and everything that's on their minds, one of the first questions that I ask them is, how do you take care of you? How do you take care of you? And some of the responses that I get, or most of the time, the responses are very similar. So I might have a woman that says, I don't know the last time that I did that. I might have a woman that says, there's no time to take care of me. I might have a woman that looks at me like I have 3 heads, like, what do you mean take care of me? I have to take care of everyone and everything else. There's just no time. So one thing that just from my years of being a therapist that I've gathered is that, number one, ladies, we do a great job of living by Philippians 4:13, which says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. We do a great job at taking on everything and trying to do everything. But another thing that I've really discovered is that we just don't take enough care of ourselves. We just don't take enough care of, number one, who should be us. So just to share, just be transparent and just share a little story with you. About maybe 6-7 years ago, and I've been a therapist since 2005. I've been doing therapy since 2005, and about 6-7 years ago, I was still working. I was working at my last job, and I was getting ready to transition in about 3 months to private practice. It should have been a time where I was like just super happy, super excited. Everything just, seemed to be going well. On the outside, everything looked to be well. My family was well, great husband, wonderful children. So on the outside, everything looked well. And I did a good job of making everything appear well. But why was that? That was because for years, I had pushed things down one on top of the other. Any issues, anything that I didn't want to deal with. And I just remember this one day, it was around maybe about Thanksgiving time, maybe right before Thanksgiving. So you all know that as the time where we start to think about what our next year is going to be like. And we just, start, if you make resolutions or make goals for the next year, that's what we start to do. And I remember I was sitting in my office, and on this particular day, it was very quiet. And, I don't think it was anyone else in the office this particular day. So it was a great atmosphere, really to do some good thinking, to do your best thinking, to really be in a place of peace and just calm. But for me, what that moment yielded was emotion, and very intense emotion. And, I just remember in that moment just feeling, I just felt old. I just felt drained. I just felt depleted. I felt to the point where I felt like I was dying. And I always tell people, it sounds bad to say that, but imagine for me that it felt even worse than that. And mind you, I'm the therapist that's been helping everyone else get it together, talk about their problems, fix their lives. And I'm in this state where I just felt like I was losing control, where the feelings and everything that I had been trying to hold in for so long, they were all surfacing. And at a time that I didn't want them to surface, because I never wanted them to surface. And these are feelings and things not only from just that time in my life and the stressors that were going on at that time, but even things that I had held in from the time that I was a youth. Who's been holding in something for a long time? Who's been holding in and just burdened for a long time? So this is to say that we all have mental health. We all deal with it. You know, and sometimes when we say that word, and you know, the ladies that have come on tonight have been so just transparent. And so maybe everyone on tonight is comfortable with the words mental health. But what I know is that there are some people that are not. For some people, it makes them cringe. For some people, it's like, well, can we say something else? Can we make it sound a little bit different? Can we make it sound a little bit pretty? Because mental health has such a stigma attached to it. But even as a therapist that was telling everybody else what to do, I one day had to face my own. And so for me, that's where just the moment of mental detoxing began. And it went on for a long time. And I have to say, because we're always going through a process, that even though I'm definitely in a different place than I was that day in 2013, I am still constantly in a process. We all are. We all have to do those mental check-ins, those mental checkups to see where we are, right? And so, you know, one thing that just is so important, and at that time, what I realized for myself was that I was wearing a mask. I was making it look good, and we can do that. We can make it look so good. But sometimes it's really not that good. A couple years ago, actually almost a couple years ago to maybe a couple weeks from now, maybe next week actually, there was a report on the news. And I'm sure we were all aware, we were all made aware of it. And at that time, what we realized or what we were hearing was about Kate Spade's death. And it wasn't just a death. It was a suicide. It was a suicide. And, you know, that really impacted me at that time. For a couple days, I was kind of just, you know, like, I got to turn everything off. I can't listen, because then a few days later, there was another suicide, Food Network, Anthony Bourdain. And with dealing with suicide in my family before, a relative, you know, I just had to take a step back. And once I was able to go on and look and see, you know, I kind of did some looking at the articles, the interviews that had been done. And I believe there was an interview done with Kate Spade's husband, who she was separated from. There was an interview done, I believe, maybe with her father, a friend. And all of these interviews showed how jovial she was, how happy she seemed, that no one would have ever expected it. But then I found this other interview, and what this interview came from her sister. And what her sister shared was that Kate had mental health problems for a while. And her sister seemed to be that person that she utilized as her support. And her sister said, I had gone to her house several times, and we would have her bags packed to go get her help. And when we would go get her, or we would be on our way out the door to get her this help, she would decide not to go. And the reason that she would decide not to go is because she was concerned about what it would look like. What it would look like in the media if word got out, what it would look like to her friends, or what it would look like to other people, because after all, she was Kate Spade. You know, and I had to really take a moment and just really assess this, because in that moment, for her, or all of those moments that she decided not to go and get that help, what happened was that she was choosing her image over her life. She was choosing her image over her life. And we really have to think about how often even we do that. We put on those masks because we want to appear like it's all okay. Like we got it going on. I got it all together. So we put on those masks, and we might be hurting, burdened, broken deep inside. And how does healing happen if we don't take off the mask? How does healing happen if we can't even, check this, be real with ourselves? And sometimes we don't want to do that because it's inconvenient, it's not time. So, you know, I just have some questions that I want you all to really consider tonight. And if you have your journal with you, if you have a notebook and you're taking some notes, you can certainly jot down the questions and go back to them later. Or if you just want to take a moment and just take that break again and just close your eyes and just in your mind consider right now. I just have a couple questions. And one of the questions I asked you early on, and you know, you probably didn't even really think about it because we get so used to just answering this quickly without thought. When I first came on, I said, how are you doing? How are you ladies doing? Gentlemen, if you're up here, didn't want to not acknowledge you all. How are you doing? And usually what we say is, I'm doing okay. I'm fine. I'm good. And we keep it moving because life is happening. We got to keep it moving. That's what we think. But when do we ever go back? When do we ever go back and say, how do I feel? How am I really feeling? So I ask you right now, I encourage you to just search yourself and just ask yourself, how am I doing? How am I really doing? How am I really doing? And I just want you to allow the top 3 emotions that you're feeling on a regular basis, or maybe it's just been the top 3 for this week, or maybe just over the past couple of weeks. What are those top 3 emotions? What have you been feeling? And what I always tell people is I'm not trying to make any problems. If it's all good and it's fine and it's well, let's stick with that. That's good. How do you keep that? But if it's not all good and it's not all well, what do you need? That's the next question. What do you need? Because once we can be true with ourselves and we can say, this is how I'm feeling, then we can go to, this is what I need. This is what I need, or this is what I need to do. And the last question is, what are you going to do? Because Cher, she started this off so well of us having to take control of our own lives, us having to take control of our own mental health. What do you need to do to make yourself feel better? What do you need to do to get in the good place that you want to be? Not only what it looks like on the outside, but what it also looks like or feels like on the inside. So as I wrap up this evening, I thank you all so much for the time, and I hope that this has been helpful. But as I wrap up, one thing that I've really been honing on over the past year is making a legacy of self-care. Making a legacy of self-care, making a legacy of mental wellness, and you know, just making mental wellness okay, making it safe for the people around us, for our daughters coming up to know that it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to do what we need to do to get okay. So making it okay for our daughters, our mothers, our sisters, our sister friends, girlfriends, church, first ladies, whoever it is that is around us, making it a legacy, but it starts with us, in us being transparent and integral in how we manage our own self-care. So good night, ladies. Be blessed.
Awesome. I just have to say, thank you for sharing that. I thought the part you mentioned about Kate Spade, I just, when I saw that story, I thought, who is this woman? Because, you know, I have things that I have purchased with her name on it. And so
Right.
you're thinking, oh, I know she's successful. Good gracious, I know she must be making a ton of money. And then you look her up, and not only was she successful, her husband's successful, and I think she's got other family members that are really successful and well known. So why in the world would this person just, you know, at the height of her career selling? I think she had sold her business, and then she kind of was, to me, I thought, well, maybe she's more free now to do some things that she wanted to do, but I guess really and truly without treatment, sometimes it never happens. So yeah, thank you for that. It's good for people to know and realize you're not the only person. You know, it's okay to share. Sometimes you have to have that opportunity to just share with other people. And that's what I hope today is allowing people to do today and tomorrow, that they can hear and know that it's okay. It's okay to talk about mental health. I think I told Yolanda, I thought even, you know, domestic violence and sexual assault last month that we did, I thought that was tough, you know, a tough subject. But I find mental health is even more, you know, more people don't want to talk about it. Nobody wants to say, I need help. I need help, and this time I need clinical help. So thank you. So I just appreciate that. Thank you, Yolanda. I'm gonna let you take over here, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. B. I love you, girl. So before we shift over into our next set of panelists, I do have another song. Do y'all want to hear another song? I got another one for y'all. Do y'all want to hear it?
Yes.
Hold on just a second.
Music loud. You gotta have
there before, scared before, worried something, worried if my day would come. Oh man, I reminisce about it often. Moping, my ambition was in a coffin. I had to stop believing I could do much more. Here we go, give my all the way to sold out show. Oh man, feels so good, I might go shopping. No one going back to nothing, it's never gonna be enough. Say I know, it gets better. Said I know, it gets better. It gets better. I know, it gets better. Said I know, it gets better.
You ain't gotta be stressed out.
You ain't gonna be stressed out. Turn it up, turn it up.
Have no doubt. I know it gets better.
You know that.
Yes. Words are powerful, y'all. Yes, let's turn this COVID on its head. Yes. So it's going to get better. And
It
therefore, yes. And I'm coming with you with our next group of panels. And look, I just have to say this. I don't know if y'all heard, but I have a book coming out. We have a book coming out, and my trailblazers are in the house. Already some of them have spoke. Trailblazers Who Lead is coming out into June. And coming up on our panel, I have some trailblazers. And I'm going to start off with Abima. Now, I may be pronouncing it wrong. Martin. Obiama. You know, look, now, I'm just going to tell you, I truly do mess up names, kind of chop them up, slaughter them a little bit. So that's why I'm always understanding when people do mine, because I'm like, hey, join the party. But anyway, she is a transformation speaker. And look, y'all, this woman actually be up in the morning, doing some Facebook Lives at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking like, are you serious? You actually online doing exercise? Oh my God. Anyway, she's the owner of Breathe. She's a coach, author, speaker, expert, small business speaker, child strategist, and she's a teacher, y'all. And then she has a BS and a master's in early childhood education, a Goldman Sachs alumni as well. And so she is one of our panelists. And then we have Jackie McKeever, and she is also a life and business coach, also a trailblazer, creates growth strategies for her clients, the women who are helping them to thrive. She has an MBA, and she also has a minor in accounting as well. She has over 20 years of supporting and developing others. Look, Jackie, you're gonna have to give me tips on this one. She freed herself from $204,000 debt. Her company is Jackie McKeever, LLC. And also on the panel is Sheena Miles. Y'all, if y'all know Sheena be having people fall out. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
just gonna laugh out loud on that. She is, look, we just gonna call her the gumbo queen because she's like gumbo with a little touch of Tabasco sauce. I love that. I love that, Sheena. You got to keep that one. And she leaves you feeling full and confident. And she is like a tornado of personality. LOL. She wants to be one day, be able to teach, what is it, physics? Okay, you can have that one. And you can truly have that one, Sheena. I'm just going to say that. That was definitely not my favorite course. She is a motivator. She's an MC. She's a speaker. Look, that's all the stuff she didn't put in there. She also has her own spa company, which I just personally found out about. I didn't know about that anyway. So I am so thrilled to introduce our panelists today. Fabulous ladies that I actually know all of them. So, hey, so anyway, I'm gonna start off by asking some questions. So, because I know several of y'all have gone through some things yourself or are going through things yourself. So I'm going to start with Abima. Oh, look, you say your name. Miss Martin, that's what I'm calling you. Okay, Mrs. Martin. Look, I'm going to start with you because you know, today I was talking to you and I was like, wow, I didn't know she had all this other stuff going on. But you're a teacher as well as a woman who also is a coach for other people. Tell me how mental health has affected or impacted your life, and what are some of the resolutions you deal with that as well?
Sure. So I dealt with mental health early on in my life as a teenager. I was very much suicidal, probably from the age of 16 all the way for many years, for different reasons. And I remember specifically when I was a teenager, though, I had my daughter at 16, and prior to that, I had lived with many different people, and so my mom wasn't always present. And so now at 16, I now kind of reunite with my mom, and she then gets married, and she's in a situation that is not really healthy for me. And without going into the details, you know, of that, I wanted to kill her and her husband. And I would literally think about how to kill all of us, like every day, because I felt tormented. I felt like there was no way out, you know. And one of the things that got me through that period was the women in the church that I attended, the elder women in the church that I attended at the time. I would tell them some of the things that I was experiencing, and they would always say, honor our mother and our father, and our days will be long. And I would be like, well, that's not my father. And they would say, but that's the father that God has put in your life. And I'll never forget that. And that's what really got me through, you know, that period. And then in addition to some other people who they were older, and they just was like, you know, come on over here. Oh, you know, come over here, come hang out with us. And they began to create a safe place for me. So when I felt in my darkest place, I always had some place to go where I could kind of escape the reality of what was kind of going on. And nobody in that time was talking about counseling. It was very much taboo. You know, you had to be crazy to go get counseling. And the thing about it is, mental health actually really does run in my family, in terms of, I have an aunt. When she passed away, my great aunt, she actually lost her mind at the age of 16, and later on she actually died on the street, and we didn't find out till months later. But she spent all of her adult years just kind of in and out of mental health institutions. And I remember, you know, watching her whenever she would not take her medicine, or she would leave the mental health facility, she would come, and we would always be so scared of her because we never knew what she was going to do. And the memory that I have of her, the last memory I have of her taking a knife and running it up and down my great grandmother, her mother leg, I'll never forget it. you know, and she was clearly off, you know, but it was kind of still, you know, kind of taboo. And then, you know, her daughters also then had issues with bipolar and, you know, and different things like that. But nobody was telling us to go get help. Nobody was telling us, you know, you need to see a therapist or anything like that. It was very much what goes on in the house, stay in the house. So there wasn't an outlet for, you know, us to really talk about what was going on. And so then what I learned to do was just to suppress it and to not deal with it. And what I learned to do was to work through my pain. And so as I got older, even in my marriage, I still dealt with depression. I still dealt with suicidal thoughts. And my answer was to just work through it. So I became a workaholic, and I began to kind of put a mask on the pain and the trauma that I had experienced in my childhood by becoming an overachiever and working.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So I'm gonna come back to you because I know you have the other part that I want to ask you about. But I'm gonna ask Jackie, who actually is a life coach that sees clients and stuff. And I want to know if when she is working with somebody, do you see quite often, especially for people, you know, business women, business people in general have issues, but do you find that they talk about it when you're talking to them, especially as a life coach?
To answer your question, yes, I am. One thing I do tell people, first thing, I am not a therapist, okay? I really believe in therapy. I went through therapy. I actually, when I started my journey, I was suffering from major depression. I've been through several different types of depression. The postpartum depression turned into me losing my child. That depression from getting a divorce and being alone, situational depression from being sexually assaulted, to being suicidal. And through all that, I learned the importance of a team. It took a team of people, and the team started with me being the head of the team. Because in order for me, Jackie McKeever, to have victory in Jackie McKeever's life, Jackie McKeever had to participate. And so a lot of times when people come to me, the reason why I see it is because I'm very open with my story. I talk about how fear disguises itself, right? And how we may call it something else. It's amazing when you have a resource, some people to lean on to get out of the depression. That was not my case. It was literally just me, Jesus, and the team that I formed. It was literally me, Jesus, and my therapist. And I had to make a decision. Am I going to stay stagnant, or will I, and this is a Bible verse, because I got two favorite Bible verses, and I know I'm trying to make this really, really short. I'm a Jesus girl, so everything I do is faith-based, because it got me to this platform right here. Because when I was suffering this depression, I hurt so bad it hurt to breathe, and I was literally ready to give up the ghost. And that's when I discovered therapy, because I was forced into therapy. Okay, I was forced into therapy. The police dropped me off at the hospital, okay, because I was ready. I made an attempt to, the place I made an attempt to commit suicide. And I guess it was a place where people was around, and they took me to the hospital. Took me to the hospital. And in that space, that's where I had my come to Jesus moment, and something dawned on me that I had to participate. Just like, and I mentioned my favorite Bible verses. I got two. The first one is 1 John 5. And this is the verse where Jesus asked the man who had been living 32 years, will thou be made whole? And the first thing in that chapter, he says, and this is the whole homegirl Generation X version. He said, well, Billy and Pookie and them, listen, I've been sitting here forever and a day. I already know you know that. But what happened was every time I asked them to help me in that water of Bethesda, because every year the angel came and stirred it up, they told me, man, you on your own. You on your own. So I tried to do it myself, Jesus. But you see where it led me. I'm still right here. I got souls everywhere. I tried. And Jesus had asked him, he didn't ask him what your excuses were. And the thing about it, the reason why my story is very important is that and I love the fact that you began to say choosing faith. Part of choosing faith is choosing to be purposefully in your purpose. And in that story, the man was healed and he began to walk. And in my head, this is the homegirl version now, Generation X version. The thing I know about muscles is when you do not exercise a muscle, it loses strength, it loses power. But when you start to walk again and you exercise that muscle, it becomes strong. So when he got up, in my mind, I imagine he walked with a limp. Jesus did tell him to get up and get his bed and walk. He did. He said he had to say, yes, Jesus, I'm going to be made whole. I'm going to actively do something. I'm going to actively participate in my walk. Okay. So he got up his bed and walked. And after a while, because he went around and told more than Pookie and them, he went to go tell his second cousins removed and them folks over there about what Jesus told him. I imagine that his muscles became strong enough, because when you weak, you can't spread the word. When you weak, you can't tell about your victory. When you weak, you don't have a conversation. When you weak, all you want is to let go of the ghost.
Yes. So I'm going to ask Sheena to jump in on the Pookie now and tell us what, so she can get some conversation on what she deals with when she sees clients walk in her door and are needing some help. What kind of things, what are you seeing, Sheena? Because I know, you with all them extra personalities. Come on. What?
I had to go see her myself, okay? She had to fix me too. Sheena had to fix me. I had to get right.
I have a confidentiality clause. I won't tell who's who. What I will say is me having the different personalities. I do not have multiple personality disorder.
Well,
me having the different personalities is necessary because I tend to be an empath. A lot of people don't know that, and I've kind of perfected the wall that's necessary. But being in a holistic space, being in the holistic business, I am dealing with mental health patients that I'm a part of their wellness, their treatment plan. I am dealing with people that just need to get away. I didn't close during the quarantine because I knew I needed to improve my business, but I had a feeling that this was going to start taking a toll on people, and somebody needed to be open. Even for frontliners and first responders that were having to deal with this, eventually they were experiencing burnout, and my phone was the only one that was answered because my business was open. It was tough because I had to listen. I had to understand, and people don't realize some days I don't care, but I know that I have to. I know that it's important for me to be there more than it's important for me to be comfortable. And she was saying, when you don't use a muscle, it gets weak. I have a lot of weak muscles right now. Just saying. we have a lot of weak muscles going on after COVID-19 and quarantine. And a lot of times, and I'm learning this even just this week, we spend a lot of time exercising the muscle of doubt and exercising the muscle of anxiety that tells us why we cannot do something. And we don't look to work for the muscle that says, but if you just keep lifting, you know, you'll get stronger. We don't work those particular muscles like that. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's necessarily even easier to worry and to stress, but it actually is a lot more work than just to say, you know what, I'm good. And I can say that because I retreat to my house. I'm in a townhouse. Downstairs has absolutely no furniture, nothing. It's still packed up, and I've lived here 2 years. I retreat to my home, but I retreat to my bedroom, and I don't end up living in my entire space. I have gone through, maybe since I've been here, about 3 bouts of depression, and my house looks like it. Even with the things that I keep and the doors that I keep closed, they're the same way that I address things. But I made it a point during this to work on my business because it's going to keep my lights on. And I do like my lights and my air conditioner heading into the summer. But also to make a conscious effort to say, you know what, you're going to get your house in order today. And my house and my body right now look the same. Stuff falling all over the place. It's just, you turn over, it just falls. It's just, we're going to get some things that's going to stand up in their own respective places. And they're going to have things that no longer hold them up because either it's going to stay or it's going to go. And we have to address mental health the same way. Because I used to have this crazy dream about apparently was moving very slowly and everything around me was moving really, really fast. And I couldn't understand exactly what it meant until somebody told me that I needed to change the people that I was around. Because in honesty, I'm the one that's moving fast and they're the ones that aren't moving. Everything else is just rotating around me. And it took a long time for me to understand that. And no, it didn't. It didn't take me a long time to understand. God got tired of me waiting on me to understand it. And he finally said, you know what? Let me just move the people. She ain't gonna like it. Her feelings gonna be hurt. I think my dog's about to come into the frame. Her feelings are gonna be hurt, but she just won't do it any other way because I'm not from here. I don't have any family here, and anybody in my life God has put there. There are people who see things in me that I just simply don't see. And even now, I don't see it, baby. Even with my glasses on, I don't see it. And there's not a test made that helps you with that. You have to finally say, you know what? I'm either going to trust him or I'm not. And there is no question. It ends at the question. So coming into my spa every day, whether it be my wedding business, I don't decorate, honey. No. I'm a wedding officiant. I'm a minister-in-law. Whether it be my spa, whether it be my consulting business, no matter what it is, I have to step into the space of that person and go, okay, where are they coming from? Even on the air, on radio, I have to remember I am the only female voice. So I have to make a conscious effort when I am on the air. First of all, you only get one time to say it. And I've made many people upset before by not taking the popular stance because it was the reaction and not the proactive approach to something. We have been conditioned to be reactive. But once we become proactive, everything changes. You know, now you see the rainbow. The rain doesn't fall the same because the light hitting the droplet shows us all the beautiful colors of everything that's possible. And we have got to start looking at mental health that way. You're either on the dark side of the rainbow or you're crossing it to where where you believe the gold is. We've got to handle it that same way because it's worth it to see all the colors. Now, that wasn't mentally unstable and how I tied all of that stuff together. I don't know what it is.
Okay, Abima. So I'm gonna come back with you.
Obioma, welcome, girl. I got your name right. I got you.
It's Obioma.
Obioma. See, you didn't get it right either. Anyway, Ms. Martin, I'm gonna wrap up with you because you also deal with kids, and so we're running a little behind. So I want to just take a few minutes to at least address the the children's situation, and just, you know, what are some of the things that you think as parents, you know, we can at least do?
Listen, as a parent, you have to not go by what you see on the surface. And you really have to pray and intercede for your child so that the Holy Ghost can allow you to see what you don't see. Because on the outside, with children, it is masked with a smile. It is masked with being an overachiever, or it is masked with behavior of destruction. And so you may look at the behavior and be overwhelmed by the behavior and don't even understand that deep down inside, this child is really suffering and dealing with some things, and they don't know how to say, I need help. They don't know how to say, I'm struggling with this. They don't know how to say somebody touched me or somebody violated me. And so as a parent, you first have to create a safe space. And I have to tell you, that's something that I have been dealing with my boys, really being able to get quiet and create safe pockets of space where they like, in order for us to talk to you, you can't judge us. Number one, you can't judge us. You can't try to fix it. You can't tell, we need you to take the mom hat off, and we need you to listen. Don't judge what we're saying, just hear us. Hear our pain, hear our struggles, hear the peer pressure, hear all the things that we're dealing with. Because when they are going through, what turns them off from coming to you is your self-righteous hat that you put on as mom or dad. And that I'm going to fix it. And what they really need most, what I've learned from my children, is to listen. And to really listen, because you want to hear and you want to repair. And together you guys can heal.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Y'all, but all of you, Ms. Martin, Jackie, and Sheena, I thank y'all for sharing, number one, you know, because everybody's not willing to share. So I thank y'all for just coming on and sharing your story and giving people, there's hope, you know, there's always hope. But, you know, we have to give our chance to have the hope, right? You know, and so I thank y'all, and keep working with your clients, because that's important. Each one of y'all are in a client situation where you never know where somebody's going to come in and just need you to listen, right? So thank you. Thank y'all for sharing that. I am now going into another trailblazer. Oh, yes. Shawn LaRae Brinkley. Yes, ma'am. Shawn is a positive, she is positively a positive person, walking energy. She is a licensed marriage therapist. Her company is Living Love Pathways to Holistic Healing. She's a transformation coach and currently working on her doctorates. Yay! And her superpowers. Yes, that's right. She got some superpowers. Laughter, love, laughter, love, and ADHD, girl. Own that stuff. So I'm going to turn it over to Shawn LaRae Brinkley.
Hello, hello. Thank you, Karen. And thank you, all you lovely ladies, for being on the call, and for all of you speakers. Amazing. It's some good stuff. I'm so excited to be on here tonight to just share and talk about something that I have really come to love, and that is mental health, also known as mental wellness. And I love that so many of us are like-minded on the call. I heard a couple of other people say mental wellness. I like to call it mental wellness. I also heard some people say breathe. And for somebody like me who goes, as my grandmother would say, like 90 going north, I have to stop and just breathe. So I have a question for you, ladies. I want to know, what time is it? Well, I'm going to tell you. It is time for you to step into your who you are-ness, to grab a hold and tap into your resilience, your rejuvenation, and your reinvention. And all the things that we have going on right now, starting out with COVID-19 and this pandemic and social distancing and isolation and all of that, it has been a lot. Does anybody else feel like it's just been one great big old long day? Well, that's how I start to feel sometimes. But I have to look inside. And I know that we've been talking about taking off the mask and all of that. And I will tell you about my mask in a few minutes. But I am a huge advocate for looking inside, because that's where the truth lives. And so much of the time we can cover up everything with our fancy clothes and our nice bag and a great big old smile. But inside, there's something in there that's not well. And so we have to dig deep sometime to see what that thing is. And we also have to know what time it is. We have to know when it's time to get with somebody, to get with your therapist. I have what I call my GTGs. They're my go-to girls. And we get together monthly. We do life together. We do God together. And there are no secrets, because secrets cause the darkness. And where there is darkness, there is trouble. And so we want to be open, just like everybody's been tonight on this call. So when I was in college, my nickname was TH. That stood for terminally happy. So I am the girl that always had the smile on. And I really, really was genuinely happy. And I didn't know that I was going to end up depressed, but I really didn't know what that looked like. So I was in an accident and I gained 100 pounds in a year and a half because I couldn't walk, couldn't do what I always did. And as a result of that, I kind of laughed my way through it. You know what I mean? I wasn't outwardly depressed because I didn't even know what that looked like. But sometimes it shows up in ways that we cannot recognize. So if you find yourself eating, there's a reason for that. Because what I was doing was soothing myself. I was trying to soothe the pain. I was eating for comfort. And that's where I got my joy. Oh, but on the outside now, I could still smile and I could still do all the things that I was doing all the time. But I never realized that deep down inside, I was hurting. And that didn't go away right away. Oh no, that lasted for a good 20 years. But when I finally got real and was able to look at myself in the mirror, and I don't mean in a vanity type of way, I mean in a way where I could see through the mirror and see what the truth was. And that was that God gave me everything I needed to get through that time. You know, he says, for such a time as this. And so that's when I had to reach down and pull out my resilience. And I looked it up, and resilience is to have the power or ability to return to your original form or position, the ability to recover readily from illness, depression, adversity. And I want to ask how many of y'all out there can bounce, because that's what resilience is all about. Come on, Sheena, you can bounce, girl. Me too. More bounce to the ounce. I can do that. But we have to sometimes do that, because if you can't reach down in there and pull yourself up, there might not be no somebody. I think Jackie, I think Obiama mentioned that there was nobody around. So sometimes it's just you and God, right? And when you ask, he's listening. But what I also had to learn is I had to sit still so that I could listen, so that I could hear that small, still voice. It used to take a long time for God to get my attention. Anybody can relate? It used to have to bam me over the head, knock me down, get me to sit down. But now I just say, whisper to me, Daddy, because I'm listening. And I invite you all to listen, because that's where the truth is. See, we walk around believing that what we see, what we can touch is the truth, but the truth is what lives inside of us. The truth is that when you step into your who you are-ness and remember whose you are, then your resilience is coming right there. Now, after you practice that resilience, ladies, Sheena's got that spa. I want you to rejuvenate. Now, rejuvenate is to make young again. Now, I'm already clear that I'm 60 and I'm not going to be 30 again, but it is to make like new. And so every day when you wake up, even in COVID-19, because sometimes you just have to push, but always keeping in mind that this is for you so that you can do the work that you were brought here to do. You got to rejuvenate, ladies. And for me, this one is really huge, and that's reinvent. I went back to school at 50 and got my master's, and that's when I became a licensed marriage and family therapist. That was not my first job. That wasn't my second job. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and my motto was to do anything to keep from working to a 9 to 5 as long as it wasn't illegal or immoral. And I pretty much did that. So now I get to be in private practice. My time is my time. But you know what? That time for me is to give back. And as long as you are living, ladies, in your purpose and stepping in step with your God, there is nothing that can stop you. Now, you might slow down and you might decide to sit down. And I invite you to know that that is okay. Because sometimes we absolutely need to do that. And see, a lot of times I didn't hear that. Oh, but now I get it. So honestly, this COVID-19 time has been a gift for me because I move all the time so much. So this has allowed me to sit still. Now, Karen told you that ADHD is my superpower. I am working on my doctorate, and I realize that I need help because I'm distracted all the time. I like the pretty shiny little things. But you know what? I'm not ashamed of that, because that is one more unique, special gift that God gave to me. And so whatever it is that he gives to you, use it for you. Use it to pour into others. Because when you pour out of you, you make space for someone else to pour into you. So I invite you to be resilient, to rejuvenate, and to reinvent yourself time and time and time again. Now, I have one more thing that I want to address, and Jocelyn actually addressed it earlier, and I want to just really briefly talk about this trauma. I'm a trauma recovery specialist, and so dealing with what's been happening in the media, the young man who was killed in Atlanta, and then here Mr. Floyd, who was recently killed in Minneapolis. There is something that is happening in the world and in this climate. And I just want to invite us all to embrace this time, to realize what's really going on in the world, and to hear and to listen and to be aware. And think of the things that you can do, to make a change, because we have to have some changes be made, ladies, and I don't know if there's a gent on here or not, but we have to make arrangements for things to be different. And if we can pour out whatever it is, if you see somebody that's hurting related to this, talk to them, pull them aside. If you see somebody that's getting ready to do something that's not going to end up well for them, pull them aside, because each one has to teach one. We have got to be our brothers and sisters' keepers during this time. There is something called racial trauma, y'all. And I would suffice to say that after watching that, just LWB, Living While Black, we have that. But that doesn't mean that we have to go out like that. But I want us to go out on a high note. I want us to go out showing the grace and beauty that God put into each and every one of us. And so I want to just take this moment now and ask you all to take a deep breath with me. And I mean, I want you to dig deep. I want you to take it all the way down from your toes and your pretty shoes and breathe in through your nose and just hold it for a second. Here we go. On 3, 1, 2, 3, breathe in. And breathe out. One more time, breathe in. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes and breathe out. And now I want you to take this moment and envision yourself at your favorite place, wherever that is. I want you to see it. I want you to feel it. I want you to recognize all of the things that bring a smile to your face about this place. I want you to take in the smells. I want you to hear the sounds. I don't know, are you at the beach? I'm a California girl. Are you in the mountains? As you do this, remind yourself that you deserve peace and that peace is at your fingertips, because anytime you need to take pause, I invite you to follow your mind and take pause. One last deep breath. And you can open your eyes. And just one resource, ladies. There is an app that you can get on your phone that's called Sanvello, Sanvello. And it's an app that has a lot of guided meditations on it. Not only that, it has verbal journaling. You can text journal, you can verbally journal. It has some cognitive behavioral therapy stuff on there for when thoughts come inside your head that you can't get rid of, helps you to walk through those. So I just invite you to have that in your arsenal of wellness. Live loved, y'all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate it. So anyway, we actually had another speaker scheduled, but something obviously has come up with Dr. Carrie Yaz. I'm not sure how to say her last name, so as usual, messing up somebody's name. But anyway, we have a great music that we're going to play, and while she's doing that, I'm going to share some apps that you can do. You can look at and look up. There's some great apps for mental health, mental wellness apps, therapist apps. So, but right now I'm gonna turn it over to Yolanda right now, and then and we'll come back right after that. Go ahead, Yolanda.
All right, so I'm gonna play one more song, and then after that, we'll go ahead and I'll show, before we end up leaving after the song is over, we're going to show you some resources. I'll make sure I post that up on the screen. So if you wanted to take a picture of it with your phone or whatever, or what have you, you can have that information at your disposal. But before we go, let me play this song, then we'll come back and we'll do the closing. All right, let's see.
There's so many reasons that going evergreen is good for you as the course creator. When we're talking about evergreen for your online course, all that it is taking all the
Wow, wow, wow. One of my favorite songs. So, hey, y'all, smile for the camera. Let's all smile. Yes, yes, yes. So, I love that song. It's one of my favorites. I just want to jump in because Yolanda's going to share some resources. But I want to talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are bringing a group. And if y'all don't know, I'm a cyber stalker. We're bringing a group that I've been watching for a while. These beautiful young ladies are actually from Huntsville, Alabama. They have been singing all of their lives, literally all their lives. You may know some of their kinfolks who have been at Success Women's Conference, and I've known their family for probably 15 years, but I didn't know they were cousins. Anyway, the Just Sing sisters will be singing live tomorrow. It'll be all about them tomorrow when it comes to the music. These beautiful young ladies, there's 3 of them, and they are just wonderful young ladies that'll be joining us live here in the Zoom room tomorrow. And then we also have one of the twin powers will be joining us, Dr. Sherry Good. If y'all don't know Cheryl Wood, hey, when you see Sherry, you see Cheryl. So hey, Dr. Cheryl Good, Dr. Sarah Langley will also be joining us as well. We have several women on the panelists as well. Some of my trailblazers will be back as well tomorrow. So tune in because we're gonna have a jam-packed night. Kay Denault, who's been, I've served, actually I started serving before her, but she's the executive director of the Mental Health Association here, which I've been a part of for 14 plus years. And so those people will be in the room tomorrow. So join us back. Even if you're speaking today, come back tomorrow. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some great music. Yolanda, I'm gonna turn it over to you before we close it out.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to put this out there just in case, since we talk about mental wellness, you see that I gave you some music tonight. That is one of the things that helped me cope with grief since I lost my dad almost 3 years ago, come this year in August. So that's one of the things that I remember. I remember Jocelyn, I think it was Jocelyn, one of you all had said something about celebrating, you know, in your grief. And that's so true. I'm telling you, my dad, he loved music. So anytime I get down, all I do is throw in some Frankie Beverly and Mays or some gospel music, some Earth, Wind and Fire, whatever my daddy used to listen to, I make sure I listen to it. And that's what keeps me connected and keep me uplifted. So again, if that's something that you could probably use, if you haven't been listening to music and then you heard something tonight, hey, turn that music on and turn up. Turn your spirit all the way up instead of turning it down. So I'm going to share my screen and show you all the resources just in case you want to take a picture of it. And then I will be done. Hold on just a second.
And I dropped some apps also inside of the chat as well. So look there. You should be able to hit on those dots on the side and save the chat as well. But there are about 8 different apps that are listed that I pulled from a while ago as far as Google. There are some that share therapists that are online that are in some of these apps sharing for free. So, you know, look at your resources, and here's some more right here. I think that second page is fuzzy.
I'll make sure that I'll make sure that I send the stats and the actual slide with the resources on it. I'll make sure Karen and I have your email addresses. So if you register, we'll make sure to send you those 2 slides so that way you'll have it, since it was showing up blurry on the screen. So we'll make sure you have it.
So thank y'all for joining us. And hey, sometimes things work out perfectly. Don't miss tomorrow. We look forward to you. Thank you for coming on tonight, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Come back tomorrow.
Yes. Yes.